Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
Can you say how many people might be doing crimes like you were doing?
It would be a guess, but it's not. It's far more than 35. It isn't that impossible in this society. It happens.
Are there more people?
They didn't give up.
How many?
She didn't give up. I did. I came in out of the cold. And what I'm saying is there are some people who prefer it in the cold.
What did people see?
A nice guy.
Some stories just whisper of the terrifying extremes of humanity. One such tale is that of Edmund Kemper, known as the co-ed killer, a man whose gruesome acts sent shockwaves through the nation, and continue to do so even now. Edmund Emil Kemper III, born December 18, 1948, was not your ordinary child. Towering at 6 feet 9 inches, with an IQ that eclipsed 140, he was a giant both physically and intellectually. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, an inclination towards violence that would soon be unleashed. As a young boy, Kemper exhibited disturbing signs that suggested a path towards violence. He decapitated his sister's dolls, he played disturbing games of gas chamber, and most chillingly, he killed the family cat, burying it alive before digging it up to display its severed head. Despite his disconcerting behavior early on, it wasn't until the age of 15 that Kemper's sinister tendencies truly surfaced, ultimately transforming him from an emotionally disturbed adolescent into a killer. The circumstances that led up to the fatal evening were a mix of troubling experiences and emotions. Kemper had developed deep hatred towards his grandmother, Maud Kemper. His grandfather was often absent, leaving young Edmund alone with his domineering and critical grandmother. Kemper's father, once his pillar of support, had also left, further igniting his feelings of resentment and anger. That ill-fated day started as any other. As Kemper later claimed during psychological evaluations, he wanted to see what it felt like to kill Grandma. It was a test, a perverse experiment to confirm whether he could carry out such an act and to see how it would make him feel. The casual disregard for human life and his cold curiosity is what led him to shoot Maud Kemper at their kitchen table. When Kemper's grandfather returned home from grocery shopping, the teenager was confronted with a horrifying reality, the lifeless body of the old man's wife. Fearing the wrath of his grandfather, Kemper made a quick decision to greet Grandpa with a bullet too. In his warped perspective, Kemper thought he was sparing his grandfather from the agony of discovering his wife's lifeless body. Thus, the benign facade of adolescence fell away from Kemper, revealing a glimpse of the monstrous instincts that would define his life and send a shiver down the spine of a nation. His juvenile crimes earned him a stay at a Atascadero State Hospital, a facility for the criminally insane. Released at the age of 21 with doctors believing he was rehabilitated, Kemper was on the prowl once more. Between May 1972 and April 1973, Kemper embarked on a terrifying killing spree that would stain the pages of criminal history. His victims? 6 young female hitchhikers in the Santa Cruz area, thus earning him the infamous moniker, the co-ed killer. He lured these innocent souls with his seemingly harmless demeanor, only to end their lives in the most brutal way possible. Yet even this was not the climax of Kemper's monstrous narrative. His final act, an unthinkable one, was murdering his own mother, Clarnell Strandberg. After a violent argument, Kemper bludgeoned her to death, defiled her corpse, and then used her head as a dartboard.
I'm going to murder my mother. I knew a week before she died I was going to kill her. I was woken up by that. I came out. I walked up to her bed. She's laying there reading a paperback, as many thousands of nights before. And she said, "Oh, I suppose you're going to want to sit up all night and talk now." Shit. And I looked at her, I said, "No." I said, "Good night." And I knew I was going to kill her, you know? And I'm so cold, it's so hard. And that's the first time in 10 years I've looked at it that way. I mean, that intensely, that honestly. It hurts.
In a grotesque finale, he invited his mother's friend over and strangled her to death. The enormity of Kemper's crimes finally hit him, and he turned himself in, shocking the police who initially didn't believe his confession. But as the grim evidence mounted, the horrifying truth became inescapably clear. Edmund Kemper, the co-ed killer, was tried and found guilty on 8 counts of first-degree murder. His punishment? 8 concurrent life sentences. The man who once roamed freely, hunting for his victims, is now confined within the cold, hard walls of prison, till death does him part. Join us next time as we continue to peel back the dark veil on humanity's most terrifying tales.